Hello everybody, this is Alex from Hardcorian Guides, bringing you my guide for Ninja Gaiden Sigma 2 on Master Ninja difficulty. And today we're doing Chapter 8, City of the Fallen Goddess. And this is actually the first and last of Rachel's chapter. So, starting off immediately, go ahead, aim in with your gun, and just start plowing them down. Just mash the R2 button, and just wipe these guys. Make sure you're moving as well, because if you actually start firing before you start moving, you can't move, I think it is. Well, maybe after like a certain amount of time. Okay, so she's a little bit different than Ryu. Because with Ryu, like whenever you're shooting, you can't move. But if you're already moving while you're aiming in, then you can actually move, which is nice. So at least for her, she can. So ignore what I said. You can move. But it does take a second to kick in regardless. But for most of this chapter, just use your gun. Like, look how much damage this is doing. It's just wiping them out completely. Like, I know, what about essence charges and, like, getting UTs and stuff? And, well, no, that doesn't really matter anymore because, yeah, fuck that. I mean, if I was doing chapter challenge, then I would probably have to do that. But for the most part, we're just trying to beat the level. So, you're better off just using your gun, honestly. Don't know why I keep checking over here when there's, like, literally nothing. But, yeah, this is actually a relatively breath of fresh air chapter. Because, one, Rachel's isn't really, like, it can be hard, but it's not that hard. And she does actually retain some of her moves from like the older game, like that one right there where you can evade over an enemy. And I believe you can get a head chop, but I've never ever had the opportunity to ever get a head chop. For some reason, she just, I don't know, either I'm just doing it too late or doing it too early. But I could never seem to get her to do it, so maybe you can do it, maybe not. Maybe they took it out. I have no idea. Anyway, yeah, just gun. I mean, that's the best advice. If you're having trouble with it, just gun. At least in these beginning parts. Once we get to the elevator and we actually get to, I think, what's his name? Marbus? Or Mardus? Marbus or Mardus? Whatever it is. The guy that basically, like, he's from the first game. He comes back in this. And he's the one that, flies in the air and then spins around and lands on the ground and has some goons, of course. Because every boss has to summon lackeys, I guess. Even though most of the lackeys are relatively timed to help, which is funny. That works. But yeah, you got some fiends coming out, kill them. Just back up shooting. It's pretty good for stun locking them too, because at least it stops them from doing that. And I don't know what the hell this circle on the gun cursor is supposed to mean. I always assumed it meant like a critical hit, I guess, maybe. That's just my guess, but I'm here to win. I'm not here to think about all the specifics, right? So, yeah. Also, I don't know, because like with Ryu's bow, he does less damage when he's in the air and shooting it than he does when he's aiming. So I'm not 100% sure if that happens with her too. I feel like it probably does, but I don't think it really matters enough. As long as they're stun locking, it's fine. If these guys are giving you trouble, just back away and go for UTs. Unfortunately for her, though, she doesn't have Flying Swallow, so we can't really do that. Which is what I think they probably implemented, at least in the first game for her, when she does like that evade over an enemy, where she can, chop their heads off. And that was the thing that she could do. So I assume that was probably put in place for her, so that way she can have her own type of Flying Swallow attack. So this next part, we're going to have some guys, some more lesser fiends show up. That's what most of this chapter is going to be about anyways, just mostly just fiends. You don't really fight ninjas. And it's kind of funny too, because like Momoji fights, like she fights basically, the same ninjas that, and most of the same enemies that Ryu fights. Rachel fights just the fiends, and then Ayane fights like Lycans and the Red Spider Clan ninjas, who only show up later, and they're not that hard. They're basically, again, in terms of health-wise, they're about the middle. So yeah, once you get those guys to spawn, come down here, stand on these stairs, and just shoot him away. There's one guy over there you want to go for, and you at least want to de-limb him so that way he doesn't shoot anymore. And you'll see eventually that once we're on the elevator, there's going to come a part where there's going to be a fiend on the outer side, and you're going to have to shoot him as fast as possible to de-limb him, because having them de-limbed at least somewhat stops him from doing like, ball energy attacks, which are very devastating. Now, I don't think they stopped completely, but the fact of the matter is getting them de-limbed at least, seems to stop them from at least trying to do it all the time, which is nice. And that's what we're trying to go for. If it doesn't stop them completely, then at least it just stops them from doing it so much. Which is, you know, what essentially became kind of a problem. So once you come in here, charge up your UT, you're going to have some of the purple fiends launch down. And every once in a while, you know, you get a good kill. Sometimes you don't. It's just really particular about it. If you don't get a kill off any of them, then run back. Make sure they're at least in a line, and then just start wailing on them. Even if they're not in a line, just shoot a couple of them. They'll eventually line up and die. So, charge UT again. Every time you get a second to charge, just do it. So that way you can, you know, get some good kills out of them. Most of the attacks that I do for these guys are usually just like square into triangle. It's nothing special, but you know, it does some decent stuff. D-limbs like normal, OPs, that kind of fun stuff. See, at least with Rachel, like, she can D-limb relatively well. I mean, Momoji could too, but Rachel has a harder time doing it. But for the most part, she can at least do some, which is nice, thank goodness. Unlike the Lunar Staff, which just doesn't seem to do it. But yeah, you saw right there, red UT, only one limb. I think it probably is just a spawn thing, because, like, I don't know. Either that, or maybe it's just the trajectory doesn't actually hit it and actually fully kill him. So, make sure that you're facing toward the. I guess like you know where the entrance of this elevator is. Make sure you're facing to the left of it so you can instantly get this shot. Also, even when you're aiming, the game will actually de-lock you off your aim as soon as you basically stop the elevator. And from there, you're gonna, you know, start shooting, but just re-aim again. Make sure you get both arms of that fiend that was across the way. You want to get both of them knocked off. If these guys get too hard, go straight for a Nimpo attack. Nimpo attacks, they're not as important in Rachel's chapter. However, I mean, if you want to keep them, then I recommend keeping them for the boss fight itself, so that way you don't get overwhelmed by the extra fiends. But if you don't have Nimpo by then, I'll show you guys, you know, what I do, or just give you some advice for that. But for now, take these guys out like you normally do. Again, if they get overwhelming, which they will eventually get overwhelming, then from there, you know, you can just Nimpo. That's what I'm trying to say. See, I guess apparently the other guy must have died earlier or something. I didn't really pay attention, but yeah, as soon as you wipe all of them out, you get a checkpoint. Thank goodness. See, this game is nice. We didn't throw a boss at us now, did we? No. No. Run back in the elevator, charge UT in the corner or wherever. Also, I think she's different because, like, if you're charging in one direction, I think she only faces that one direction. I don't think she can do what Ryu does with the Eclipse Sight. I don't think she can change trajectory. I'm not certain. I feel like she just can't. Also, she can do counter moves. So, you know, basically just inputting block, and as soon as they attack, you just counter. Or at least around the time when they block. Don't know what I was bothering to charge for. Also, you know, it doesn't matter how much I'm trying to change the camera angle, but there's Rachel's butt for anybody that, I guess, wants to see it. So there you go. It's not my fault. The camera changes itself. I'm in the corner. It's the best place to be, basically, for these things. So after you kill, like, maybe a couple of enemies, cutscene happens. So, instantly, as soon as that cutscene ends, make sure that you have your gun out and you're just plowing these guys down, because they will be extremely aggressive about stuff. There's like 3 or 4 of them that come around that corner. You don't want to fuck with them. So just immediately immediately just, you know, start shooting them down, take them out. No big deal. There's nothing over there. I don't know why I thought there was. I mean, I just saw the light and just immediately thought, oh, it might have been an item. But there wasn't. So, yeah. Alright. You can't really buy much. I recommend at least having maybe a couple of Devil Mushrooms, just in case. So that way you can at least have them for the boss fight. If you've got the experience by now. You could kill these guys if you wanted extra currency. I don't know what you're saying. You could kill these guys if you wanted the extra currency. So that we can go back down and buy more crap. But, I mean, I don't. So, that's just what happens. Stay on, like, these lower end stairs and just try to go for, like, gunshots. Just make sure you, because like for Rachel's chapter, you want to make sure that you're playing kind of like a third-person shooter game. You want to have cover, and you just want to annihilate these guys like non-stop. You have infinite bullets, so do what you can. Which is funny because in the original Ninja Gaiden 2, I don't know, well, Rachel wasn't there as far as I'm aware. Well, in terms of you know, her actually being playable, I'm not sure about that. I'm just saying. But for Ryu though, you actually had to buy arrows. So just like with Ninja Gaiden 1, you actually had to buy arrows back then, and thank God we don't have to do that anymore. But still, it doesn't really matter. I could have dealt with it, but still. So this is, I think, Marvis. I think this is his name. I'll say that. So as soon as you spawn in, you're going to want to start shooting the fiends. Like, even if you lock on to the boss, you at least want to shoot the fiends. At least get a D-limb. If they get overwhelming, once again, just go straight for that nimble attack. Because sometimes the nimble attack can actually D-limb, which is nice. Yeah, go for D-limbs and go for OTs, so that way at least you have some invincibility, and some iframes on you. And the trick with this boss fight is he's a lot scarier than what he looks like. He's really not that tough. He's just a big baby. He has this attack where, like, he does that dash, just dash to the left. Not a big deal. He does this one as well. He slams the ground. You can get a few pop shots in if you want. Like I'm doing. He does this. He only shoots like 4 at a time, 3 to 4 at a time. Not a big deal. But the attack that you're wanting to look out for is when he goes in the air and he starts to spin around. When he spins around, like as soon as he's launching it and he's getting close to you, you want to dodge underneath him. By dodge, I mean just hitting L1 and then the stick direction toward him. And you'll see. You don't want to do the dodge jump, you just want to do the dodge itself. It's alright, right here. Yep. And then afterward, hit X and square so you can do the windmill technique. Do it twice so you can get behind him. The reason why you want to get behind him is because he has a really shitty grab. If you're on his left side, he'll grab you. Doesn't really matter which side you're on. He's grabbed me on both. If you're too close to his left or right side, he will grab you after he gets back up. You can at least get a good couple of combos on him, so that way you do some damage. Once he's down to like close to the last like half health ish, that's when the other little turds are gonna start spawning in. So right here, yep, he's down to like half health. Do what you did before. Basically, just focus on dodging him whenever the fiends show up. Just keep an eye on him. Make sure you're dodging his stuff. He doesn't attack very often. And besides, his purple attack can actually hurt the fiends as well. Another thing to keep in mind, when you kill the fiends in this fight, he can actually absorb the essence and do a charged tornado, or I call it tornado, like a charged spin attack as well. And what happens with that is it doesn't really change too much. It's not a big deal. However, it may throw off your game because once he has a charged essence spin attack thing, he'll actually do like another sort of like spin twirl in the air and then he'll launch down. So that could throw you off. So just make sure that, you know, if he does charge that essence, which you'll definitely see, then at the very least just keep in mind that, oh, okay, he's charged, so I'm just gonna, you know, wait like that extra 1 second. Because if you get, you know, if you get hit, you're gonna take quite a bit of damage. It's not gonna kill you, but it's just enough. But yeah, this is the last wave of enemies. I recommend just using all of your Nimpo if you have it. If you don't have Nimpo, just, you know, line these guys up, shoot them, stun them as much as you can. Whoever gets close to you, just shoot them. You know, always go for those D-limbs with the gun because it does a decent, hefty amount of damage to actually D-limb enemies, which is nice. Go for those D-limbs, get some iframes, and there you go. So that's the end of all the fiends that are going to show up, and now we have to deal with just him. And luckily for us, he's being very, very generous. So the reason why I recommend doing the windmill technique is because it just gets you in there faster. But there you go. That's the boss. Not that difficult, but yeah. See you guys in next chapter. So take care, everybody.